When I was only 4 years old, my father died of pulmonary hypertension. The vivid memory of the night he had his heart attack is etched in my mind. I stood at my great-grandmother's third-floor bedroom window and watched as he was carried on a stretcher down the driveway. The skeletonized trees in the front yard cast eerie shadows, their gnarled forms creeping across the lawn like sinister tendrils. While these childhood memories are irrelevant to the story to come, they serve to confirm the clarity of my early recollections, which are often challenged by skeptics. The details of that momentous night remain in my memory, challenging any doubts about the authenticity of my recollections. The real story unfolds in mid-October, shortly before the loss of my father. Halloween, my favorite day of the year, filled the entire month with excitement. Sleepless nights were filled with anticipation of me donning a cat costume for the third year in a row. Despite the repetitiveness, one night, after my mom reprimanded me for not getting enough sleep, I reluctantly closed my eyes in an attempt to sink into slumber. Almost at the threshold of dozing off, the door creaked open. Assuming it was Mom, I pretended to snore. But that tactic did nothing to fool her. Expecting her to leave, I squeezed my eyes shut, but immediately found the door widening, accompanied by the unmistakable sound of heavy footsteps entering the room. Instead, the door swung open even wider with a groan, and heavy footsteps entered the bedroom. Gaining courage, I peeked out cautiously, opening one eye to assess the situation. To my surprise, it wasn't my mom standing in front of me, but a monster. Not as scary, though. The creature radiated an unexpected cuteness. Wrapped in thick orange fur, it loomed over my bed with a wide grin that bared sharp teeth. On either side of his head were huge ram's horns, which, because of his height, almost reached the ceiling. Ignoring my sleeping little brother at the other end of the hallway, the monster extended a clawed hand toward me. For unknown reasons, I found this acceptable and put my tiny palm into his in response, squeezing it tightly. Gently guiding me, the monster led me to the empty section of wall where my mom was going to put the wicker furniture. I watched mesmerized as the orange monster delicately scratched at the wallpaper with his claw, opening a momentary passage. Carefully, he stepped forward and let me pass, and we were caught in a blinding flash of light that made me squint. Bringing my eyes back to normal, I realized we were no longer in my bedroom. We were in what I could only call his world. A cobblestone marketplace spread out in front of us, teeming with stalls and carts that were home to every imaginable monster. Witches strolled by, offering me sugar corn from a stall filled with potions. Vampires set up under an awning, peddling decorative vials of glowing blood that looked like stained glass windows. Werewolves, skeletons, mummies, and others bustled around, preparing for Halloween. Our journey through the market seemed to span hours, culminating in a spacious park surrounded by trees and another shimmering gate at the entrance. With a warm embrace, the monster guided me through the gate, waving cheerfully as we parted ways. Then, I awoke in my bed, my brother still peacefully asleep at the room's other end, and the blank wall resumed its emptiness. At breakfast, I regaled my family with this fantastical tale. My mother responded in the typical manner of a parent hearing a made-up story from a 4-year-old, while my father offered a weak smile. It was just a dream, and I assumed it was the conclusion. Yet the excitement lingered. I yearned to experience it all again. A year later, my wish materialized. Mid-October had returned, and though the season remained thrilling, I no longer struggled with sleep. Then, one night, the creak of my bedroom door roused me, revealing my orange monster shuffling in with a bashful smile. Eagerly, I leaped out of bed to meet him. Once again, he sketched the doorway in the wall with his claw, spiriting me away to his world. Joyful reunions unfolded, with everyone remembering my name. Witches offered candies, vampires hissed greetings, and the familiar sequence repeated, navigating the bustling market square until reaching the park gates and bidding farewell. The dream revisited me the following year and continued as my secret annual Halloween tradition. It wasn't until my 11th year that the dreams began to evolve. That year, the monsters in the market no longer greeted me with happiness. Their stern gazes and unintelligible whispers signaled a shift. There were no candies, no felicitations, no smiles directed at me. An unsettling journey unfolded, and I sensed my monster's awareness as he hastened our pace, leading me swiftly to the safety of the park. By the time I turned 13, the once friendly marketplace had transformed into a hostile environment. The creatures I had known for nearly a decade now shouted in harsh voices, pointing accusing fingers, and ordering us to leave. For the first time, my monster physically lifted me, carrying me away until we reached the gate, away from the tumultuous scene. At the age of 16, the dreams transformed into nightmares. My annual monster, who had faithfully appeared each year, arrived with a noticeable difference. His once plush orange fur had thinned significantly, and cracks marred his ram's horns. Despite reaching out to guide me through the familiar doorway, it proved to be a grave mistake. Through the marketplace, we were pursued, subjected to bites, scratches, and slashes. Incessant whispers echoed in my ears, drowning out all other sounds. Yet no mouths moved, and the voices seemed to speak in an unintelligible tongue. While too large to be carried by my monster, I allowed him to drag me desperately into the park. The other creatures pursued us to the entrance, leaving no opportunity for farewells. A forceful push, and I awoke drenched in sweat in my bedroom. At 17, my monster, a mere shadow of his former self, arrived to whisk me away. This dream held no chase, no imminent danger. However, as we traversed the cobblestone market square, an overwhelming fear engulfed us. Creatures froze in their stalls, eyes and mouths replaced by ominous black voids. Motionless, they turned to gaze at us. My monster, struggling for breath, had to halt frequently before we reached the park. Before stepping through the gate, I embraced him tightly, mirroring the actions of my childhood. His eyes reflected sadness, yet he grinned with his large teeth, leading me forward as always. Upon awakening, I found my eyes moist with tears. The following year, I pondered whether the dream would revisit me. Late into October, well past the usual time, it remained absent. On Halloween night, after reveling with friends, I dreamt in a haze, sensing someone scratching at my walls. With caution, I rose from bed, discovering the light-filled doorway to my monster world wide open. Conversely, my bedroom door was shut, leaving me entirely alone. Alone, I walked through the gate, uncertain if he awaited me on the other side. Once again, a change greeted me. The long cobbled street lay empty, void of buildings or life. The only companions were long smears of dark brown blood and scattered remnants, which I could only identify as flesh. A putrid odor of decay filled the air, prompting me to shield my nose with my pajama collar. My usual gait now accompanied by trembling feet. For hours, I traversed the path, my bare feet slipping in blood and congealed gore, staining my toes and sending shivers through me. Despite my shouts, only the wind's whispers responded as I progressed beyond the market square, entering a park where my stomach twisted violently. The path ahead was obstructed by the corpses of witches, vampires, werewolves, and monsters. Mangled and horribly disfigured, they lay in careless heaps, no longer eyeless or menacing, but resembling the friendly creatures of my childhood imaginings. Negotiating through more blood and flesh, I now dodged bodies and bloody candy underfoot. Before the park gates, a familiar sight awaited me. A recognizable silhouette of my monster, his back turned. I noticed his fur had become patchy, revealing a muscular gray body, bloated and pulsating with veins. As I approached, the deep, hoarse breathing became clearer. He remained hunched over something, refusing to turn and face me. My foot caught on a limb and I stumbled back, emitting a surprised shriek. Strangely, the voice that escaped my lips sounded higher and much younger than that of an 18-year-old. The abrupt cry caused my monster to freeze, slowly turning to meet my gaze. In its claws, it gripped the disassembled remains of some corpse, its fur stained with putrid brown blood. Upon seeing me, it revealed a new set of razor-sharp teeth, and the smell of decay wafted from its mouth. I found myself staring at the chunks of flesh dangling between its fangs. As a child, engulfed in oversized adult pajamas, tears welled up in my eyes. Creating distance between us, I suppressed a quiet sob as it extended a hand towards me. "Why?" I pleaded, gripped by fear as it grew to a towering height, looming over me. "Because," it replied. It was the first time I heard its voice, but I knew it didn't sound like this. Speaking in a low, rumbling tone, it was wrong and inhuman, reminiscent of something ancient and not of our world. "You've grown up." Once again, it extended its hand with spread claws, but I refused to take it. Pushing it away, I sprinted through the bodies below, making my way to the gate as fast as I could. Awakening in my room, my mom stood over me, demanding to know why I was screaming in my sleep and if I needed to go to the hospital. Now, at the age of 23, I haven't had any dreams since, and truthfully, I don't think I ever will. While I occasionally think about them, recounting the experiences to my husband and friends, they shake their heads, laugh, and insist that no one remembers such things at such a young age. They believe it must have been a single dream, concocted simultaneously and made to feel like a recurring nightmare. But I know it wasn't. I remember. I still remember.